Why don't we take a seat, everyone, so we can get started. I know that Ron is going to go over, so we need to get mine done quickly. All right. All right. I'm very happy to see everyone today in person. I know you all have been excited about it, and people are just going to keep coming in as we go. That's perfectly fine. I saw the traffic this morning in New York. It didn't look good. I'll start working this as well. I'm very pleased to be welcoming everyone in person. This is an exciting time, exciting to be back. Look, we're all vaccinated. You had to show that to get in. I think this is going to be more what the future is going to be. We're getting together with friends that we haven't seen in a long time, maybe having holidays for the first time in a long time. So I'm very excited about it and excited to be welcoming you all in person. So thanks for being here. Today is going to be exciting. I mentioned we have Ron coming up, but we're going to be talking about a lot of the things that are challenging us as an industry. We have about 800, 900 people. There's about 1,000 of us all together between live and virtual today. So I welcome the people that are watching virtually as well. But we're going to talk about the challenges that we have as an industry, and some of the things are going to be long-term. We're going to be dealing with them for a long time and trying to understand the way they work. I think Ron's going to put some of that in perspective too, but with his talk. But we're also going to talk about digital assets with Fidelity. We have a panel full of CEOs and presidents and talk about some of the challenges in the industry from their point of view. And I think what we're going to find out is there's no right answer to any of this. We're going to have different opinions on where this is going to go because the jury's still out. We're going to talk to Goldman about digital banking and how they see that working. We are going to hear digitally from Ron Ransom at Envestnet. He's a smart guy. He's not just a tech guy. He's been in the business for a long time, and I think you'll find his opinions are really interesting. I can actually read this. I can see Ed Swenson's going to talk as well. I think you're going to love hearing from Ed. And we're going to look at the future of the industry. Ed's from Dynasty. We have people from regionals. We have people from large firms like Stifel. I think it's going to be interesting for all of you. Client experience. We have Brian from Mariner is going to be here and talk about that and sort of what that looks like going forward. We have a panel on the COVID effect. We're going to talk to the folks at Ameriprise about the Great Resignation and maybe how difficult it is for all of you to find people to come work in this business. It's a challenge, and I'm going to talk about that, as well. So where are we? I just want to set the table, for the event today. In my opinion, COVID-19, while it was awful, we all know people who have suffered and people in this industry that have suffered with it, but it was sort of a low-impact event for our industry. When we came out of this thing, we didn't know whether markets were going to implode. We didn't know where anything would be, and we did pretty well. And recruiting continued unabated. I thought when this was starting, we were going to go a year without anybody moving firms, but of course it went virtual. And I've hired a lot of people over time, and I've never done it without a handshake, without visiting their families and doing all that stuff. And people moved in spite of that, without the ability to do that. I think what it does tell us is that the overarching themes in this business that have been impacting the industry for the last 10 years, this move away from wirehouses to independence, or sort of independence with the same ethos at regional firms and BDs, has been impactful, and it hasn't stopped. If it was not a real trend, it would have stopped in COVID, but this is continuing, and this is sort of shaping the future of our business, and will continue to shape the future of our business. I think there'll be innovations in real estate. We talked about that. Most firms sign 10-year leases. We have these long-term leases because that's the most beneficial way to do it. But I think real estate is going to start looking different in our business in the future due to COVID. And I think a lot of the tech features, we have it in our magazine this month with Fidelity, talking about what next-gen folks want in an advisor. And I think that the prospecting opportunities with technology today are going to be are totally different than they were, pre-COVID. Again, there's an acceptance to being able to do things on Zoom that we weren't able to do before. I think there are some significant headwinds. I know Ron's going to talk about some of these, and then this is going to be addressed at some point by all of our speakers at the event today. I think that these, taxes is in a cap, no one else can say this, I can because I don't work for anybody else. I think it's an attack on the capital markets and capitalist system. In fact, if you get rid of cap gains in a stepped up basis in an inflationary environment, I think you're going to have a lot of trouble. This crackdown on everything that Chairman Gensler has promised us, I don't know where that goes. I mean, I don't know that they know where that goes. I know the government moves slow and bureaucracy takes a long time for things to happen, but I'd like to know a little more from them. And when they say they're going to crack down on everything, what do they mean? They have 40 projects going right now, and each one of those could really impact our business and the way we work with our clients. So I think it's something that you have to start thinking about. Other issues, gamification. I know Ron's going to hit on that, some of the cyber issues that are facing us. It's not a joke, but I do think they tend to lead towards an environment where advice is extremely important, and the things that you do for a living every day are going to be more and more valuable. Inflation is a challenge. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the Great Resignation. It's finally being admitted that we actually have inflation. Briefly, before I give out, I want to go over what's the article I just wrote. Hopefully some of you have actually read it. It's called The Death of the Trainee. If we lose trainees, which it seems like we are, I got trained by Merrill Lynch, a lot of people here did as well. That was like getting a master's degree in retail. I mean, you were able to learn, and they spent an awful lot of money. They had an 80% failure rate. What's disturbing is now that they've gotten rid of the training program and they're working it all through their bank programs and things like that, they think they're going to have an 80% success rate. And it's like, okay, an 80% success rate in a terrible program, what's the point of that? What are you building and what are you gaining, from that? So I think the loss of entrepreneurialism is something we all have to think about, and the independent group can't skate away from this. Regionals, BDs, from Stiefel to Wedbush, all our friends here, we've got to come up with a solution because Merrill can't train everybody for us. You know what I mean? I used to say the best job in the world is to fail out of the Merrill Lynch training program because then you're wanted everywhere. You have a valuable skill set that you could bring to the table, and no one else is doing the training. So we really have to think. It also hurts, in my mind, diversity and inclusion. We have a new next-gen folks who want to get in, first-generation college people. It's much harder today to start a business. It just is. I cold called when I started my business. My dad was a dentist. All my clients were dentists because I was able to call my father's friends. If you don't have a network and you can't cold call, it's very difficult to start. So we have to find a way to support these people. And the other thing is, if they're not given the same opportunity, if they're given this 80% success rate by working at a bank program, that's not owning your book. That's not starting a business that you can wealth transfer, that you can transfer to your children and you can transfer to your family when you pass on, that has a value. It's none of that. So we need to figure it out. And especially if we're going to allow people to get the same opportunities that we had, we can't lose variable compensation. We can't lose commissions. We can't turn this into France where we have salary and bonus for advisors. And I'm telling you that the death of the trainee is the beginning of the end of that business. So when we go, who follows us? And it's something to think about if you care about this business.